Hello. Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the math portion of the GRE. We have been solving math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the GRE, the revised journal test. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 158. And today is our lesson number 64, day number 64. Please turn to page number 158, as do I. And it is the very last problem on the page, page 158. Let's take a look at it, see what it says. We are given a series and we are told that it is defined by this formula. Let's put it here. nth one is an over 1 over n minus 1 over n plus 2 for each integer as long as it's an integer and as long as it's more than 1, in other words positive integers, this formula applies. And the question simply is what is the sum of the first terms? And of course you have the book in front of you, you can read the entire problem, you can read the problem in its entirety on your own. I'm just telling you the juicy bits. Now the key here, they're asking us to find the sum of the first 20 terms. Don't try to sit there and try to figure out the sum of the first 20 terms. You'll never get there. The key here to start with something manageable, something that you can handle, something that you can brook. Oh, here's a good word. Brook. I didn't mean to start out with a digression, but since it cropped up in the lecture, why not learn it? What does it mean to brook something? Brook has two meanings. Of course, everybody knows the first meaning, which is this blue wobbly thing that you see sometimes. I'm not talking about that. Brook. Day number 4. If you're interested in improving your vocabulary at the same time while you're working on your math skill, go to my channel on the YouTube, and over there look for vocabulary videos, and or you can just type in vocabulary day 4. That's what that is here. Vocabulary day 4 along with my name Keshwani, and it should pop right up. And you will learn the word brook along with some other good useful words to know, not just for the SAT or the GRE or GMAT, but also for the sake of simply learning the words, simply for the sake of learning. Anyway, enough of that. So what does it mean to brook something? It means to be able to handle something, to be able to tolerate something, to be able to endure something. So if you start out with trying to figure out the sum of the first 20 terms at once, you'll never get there. Start out with something that you can brook, something that you can handle. I'm going to start out with the first 2 terms and see what happens. And then I'm going to build from that. So the key here is to start with something manageable and build upon it one term at a time. Until when? Until we begin to see a pattern. There is a pattern that you have to figure out what that pattern is. So let's start with n. Let's start with n. Let n equal to 2. In other words, we're just going to figure out what happens with the first 2 terms. That's it. So here's the formula. So when n is 1, perhaps we should put the formula right here. One over n minus 1 over n plus 2. So when n is 2, the first term is going to be 1 over 1, because n is 1, minus 1 over 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. That's our first term. The second term, we have to find the sum. The second term would be, I'm going to erase this formula, this is annoying. The formula is right there. So the second term is going to be 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 because our n is 2. So So that's what it is. You just, whatever the integer happens to be, if the integer happens to be 1, then it could be 1 over 1 minus 1 over 1 plus 2, as you see here. When n equals 2, then it's 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2 plus 2. So that's what we have here, minus 1 over 2 plus 2. Let's see what that boils down to. 1 over 1 is just 1, minus 1/3 plus 1/2 minus 1/4. Minus 1/4. What do you see? Do you see any pattern here? We don't see anything happening here. We don't see anything happening here. There is no action. And what I mean by there is no action is that usually in a situation like this, when they ask you to find the sum of the first 20 terms, or the sum of the first 50 terms, or the sum of the first 10 terms, in the middle you see a carnage, you see killings, you see things dropping out, killing each other, cancelling each other. Nothing is happening here. It's just sedated. It's just nothing happens here. Obviously we need more than 2. Let's try third one. Okay, usually, as I said before, you see something going on here. Nothing is happening here. We need we need many more than 2. Let's try n equal to 3. So before I do n equal to 3, I'm going to put down this information here so that we have it. So it was 1 minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 2 minus 1/4. Now try n equal to 3. Now when n is equal to 3, this part is going to stay the same for the first two, n1 and n2. So 1 minus 1 over 3, 1 over half, 1 over 2 rather, 1/4. So that takes care of when n equals 1 and n equals 2. Now let's do 3. So when n is 3, it is going to be 1 over 3, 1 over 3. So this part are the first two terms, plus 1 over 3 minus 1 over 3 plus 2. 1 over 3 plus 2. Now, do you see any action happening? Do you see any action at all? Do you see anything dropping out? Do you see any carnage? Do you see any violence? Which is what we want to see here. Of course, we do see it. Here we have a negative 1/3, negative 1/3, and here we have a positive 1/3. When we open the parentheses, it's going to be positive 1/3. This negative 1/3 and positive 1/3 are going to drop out. Aha! Now we are beginning to see some action. Let's try one more, see what happens. N equals to 4. When n equals to 4, this part from here to here takes care of all the terms, the first 3 terms, n1, n2, I shouldn't say n1, n2, I meant to say a1, a2 and a3. When n is equal to 1, when n is equal to 2, when n is equal to 3, the first 3 terms are right here. I'm just going to copy them down. So it's 1 plus a half minus a quarter minus 1/5. Again, one more time, I'm going to point out with a pencil here. 1 plus a half minus 1/4, and when you open the parentheses, it's 1 over, why does it say 1 over 8? That's not right. Something has gone wrong. This is the third term. It should be 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2 is 5, which is why I wrote down 5 here. I was ahead of myself here. 3 plus 2. 5. Oh, I actually wrote down 5 here. What the hell? Now let's introduce the fourth term. N equal to 4. Plus 1 over 4 minus 1 over 4 plus 2. Minus 1 over 4 plus 2. Do you see any action happening? Yes, we do. See here? A negative 1/4, a negative 1/4, and a positive 1/4. Here is a positive 1/4. It's going to drop out. These are going to drop out. And what are we left with? We are left with 1 plus a half minus 1/5 minus 1/6. Let's do n equal to 5 now. When we introduce the fifth one, it's going to be 1 over 5 minus 1 over 7. Do you see anything happening here? Of course we see. See, 1/5 and 1/2 drops out. But what we do notice is that this bloody thing, this damn thing, 1 plus a half, 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 will never go away. Because every time we introduce the next one, if the denominator is getting larger, nowhere are we going to find 1 over 2. It's going to be 1 over 3, 1 over 4, 1 over 5, 1 over 6, 1 over 7, so on and so forth. We're never going to see negative 1/2 again, ever. So this half is never going to go away, this 1 is never going to go away. What does it tell you? It tells me, I don't know what it tells you, but what it tells me is that if I'm running out of time, or if I'm running out of patience, if that bloody thing is getting on my nerve, then I can just simply look at the answer choices, raise my odds, and if I choose to, I could move on with my life. You're not going to win all the battles. In a situation like this, if it's taking you too long to figure it out, if you can simply raise your odds and move on. So let's look at the answer choices, see what we can do. Based on the knowledge that we have now, that the correct answer, whatever it is got to have 1 plus a half. 1 plus a half everywhere we go. 1 plus a half is never going to go away. Let's look at the answer choices. Any answer choice that doesn't have 1 plus a half is not the right answer. I'm not going to put down all the answers right on the blackboard because that takes too long. A says 1 plus a half, so that might work. B says 1 plus a half, that might work. C, I don't see any, I see a 1 but I don't see a half, do you? There is no half in it. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not C. D is not the answer. E is not the answer. Oh voila, there we go, we got 50-50 chance already. We have a 50-50 chance already. Let's do one more term and see what happens. Okay? Instead of doing one more term, because you get the idea I think, instead of doing one more term with n equal to 6 here, let's jump all the way up to n equal to 28. Okay? Well actually I can't do n equal to 20 because I have to show you that. Here's what's going on. When n is 2, let's start the story from here. When n is 3, when n is 3, we are left with, I need an entirely different color marker. We are left with, when n is 3, we are left with negative 1/4, negative 1/4, this is not a good color, and negative 1/5. When n is 4, we are left with negative 1/5 and negative 1/6. When n is 5, we are left with negative 1/6 and negative 1/7. And therefore, the logic tells me, and if you like you can do one more, but the logic tells me that when n is 20, it's always one more. When it's 3, we are left with 1/4 and 1/5. When it's 4, we have negative 1/5 and negative 1/6. When it's 5, we have negative 1/6 and negative 1/7. Therefore, when it's 20, it tells me it must equal 1 plus a half minus, when it is 5, it is negative 1/6. When it is 4, it is negative 1/5. When it is 3, it's negative 1/4. So when it is 20, it's got to be negative 1/21st minus, when it is 3, over here we get 1 over 5. When it is 4, it is 1 over 6. When it is 5, it is 1 over 7. So when it is 20, it's got to be 1 over 22. Voila, this is our answer. That's it. Everything else is going to drop out. Everything else in between is going to drop out. You can keep on going until the 20th, but that will be a sheer waste of time. That's it. We are done. Let's see what else do I have here. So that's it. Basically the story begins. Basically the story begins with three terms. The first two terms do not tell us anything. So you have to build on your story. How long does it take to build a story? Sometimes it takes 3 terms, sometimes it takes 4 terms, but it never takes 5 or 6 or 7 terms. The story begins to build up, the plot begins to thicken very quickly. So if you don't see something happening in the first term and the second term, do the third and the fourth term, and you will see, immediately you will begin to see that a pattern emerges, and that pattern is going to follow. All you have to do is figure out what that pattern is. That's it. That's it. That's our answer, whatever that is. It was either A or a B. It was either A or a B. So obviously it's not an A, so the answer is B. Voila, that's it, we are done. The answer is B. The reason I said obviously answer is not A, because in the A I see 1 over 20. Oh, first of all, we don't even have 1 over 20, so that's the end of that story. I was going to say I don't see a fourth term there, I only see three terms there, but that's not even the bloody point, because here we see 20 and 21 and 22, that's 20, 1 over 20. The answer is B. That was it. I will see you tomorrow on day number 65, or rather, on day number 65, where we will do the problem that you see on page number 159, the numeric entry as they call it. Oh, I like the way they phrase things, numeric entry. Alright, I'll see you then, okay? Bye now.